In this video, I'm going to go over a MAID that I changed to the week 13 bundle, but I'm also going to share with you information on how you can finish the semester as early as week 14, so be sure to stay tuned for that. So the change that I want to talk about, and if you want, what you might want to do first is look at the week 13 entry in the course schedule to see the change. You still have 3 tasks. You still have a task 1, which has to do with comparing. You're still comparing your opinion with the peers. You're still generating a question. When you're done with that and you submit it, you will be given the opportunity to do your second task, which is the bundle wrapper. And then, of course, there's still this task that's always the same, and that's just making sure that you've done everything. The difference is in here mostly. Notice that this reminds you to listen to this very video if you haven't. And there's just a couple of things I want to point out. So you are going to be doing another opinion comparison. You did that during week 10. If you submitted it by the official deadline, you have feedback that you can use. I will start to grade the late ones, probably not until week 14, maybe at the end of the semester, so keep that in mind. These are the instructions you download. The instructions are 99.99% the same, so if you want, you could just use the other download, or if you printed it, you could use your notes from that, because what I've done is I've recycled, everything here is recycled from week 10. So you are doing another opinion comparison and contrast, it's just the topic that's different. Instead of comparing and contrasting opinions on whether an assisting police officer, whether it was morally permissible for him to, ignore the bystanders, or whether he's obligated to check on George Floyd's pulse. The only difference that's being noted in the document from the week 10 version of this assignment is that you're focusing on your first response to the mandatory writing assignment, and that's the one where you are asked whether Derek Chauvin was overly aggressive. You will see in the course schedule that I do say that this is virtue ethics continued. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to find a more explicit way to tie virtue ethics into this particular opinion comparison. Of course, you've already tied virtue ethics into the topic if you did the week 12 stuff. But because you are talking about in the response that you'll be analyzing, or set of responses that you'll be analyzing, you are talking about whether Derek Chauvin was overly aggressive, you're still kind of having a somewhat relevant opportunity to think like a virtue ethicist, at least indirectly, but that's not an explicit requirement. So again, this stuff is recycled, but it's still relevant. It's a good refresher and review of stuff that you need to do, but do keep in mind that I am aware that I'm recycling this. I even say this up here. Now, the new part, okay, that I didn't list in the course schedule is that I have broken down week task 13, task 1A. So that's what you have in the course schedule, but I broke this down into 2 components. So now we have a lower letter I, or Roman lowercase I guess you would say, and now you have a Roman lower I. I think that's how you say it. So this is going to give you information about a new part or a new element of working with a peer response. So just like you work with a peer response to compare and contrast it with your own, now you're going to work with a peer response, but by itself. So you're working with the same peer response in this part of the task, but you're not looking at your response anymore. You're just looking at your peer's response to come up with a good question. So make sure you read all of this very carefully, and make sure you get this lesson right here on the specific requirements and expectations I have for the paragraph that you construct to contextualize, set up, and ask a peer question. I have written it, but just to emphasize and cover all my bases, I do want everything submitted all in one. I do say that there to remind you in writing later, but again, so I'm going to want this, where you're comparing and contrasting your response with a peer, and of course you greet them and you post your original responses, then you have your discussion paragraphs, and then immediately below that, in the same reply to your peer, in the same thread, you're going to include this new paragraph. And then of course that will all be done here through the threads. Okay, and of course, like I said, once you submit that, then you'll have access to the bundle wrapper. That said, I want you to make sure that you do a really good job on the bundle wrapper. I think maybe we have not had a bundle wrapper in some time, or we haven't had very many lately, so you might be a little bit rusty on those. But make sure that you read through the bundle wrapper very carefully. Read every single little bullet. A lot of people miss points because they don't read through every single little bullet. They're not staying focused on what is being asked. The discussion piece is going to is going to count 60% for 60% of your bundle wrapper grade. And remember, you need to make at least a 90 on the bundle wrapper to keep all of your points for this assignment here. All right, so now I'm going to switch the camera. Okay, let's see if I can angle myself correctly here. Okay, so I want to talk to you about an idea that I had. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to do this. It was just an idea I had, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to present it to the students, and if they want to take advantage of this, they can. I'll leave it up to the students to decide. But hold on, I'm adjusting my chair. But I thought, I was thinking about how much stuff we've done this semester and all the work that you've done and the thinking. And I was thinking, by the end of week 14, you'll have done, all the kinds of things that I want you to do in an ethics class, getting experience in an ethics class. And so then I was thinking, well, would it be so bad if the semester ended at week 14? And what I came up with is, in light of the pandemic and the holidays and all that other stuff, I thought maybe some students would like to stop at week 14, but there are very specific conditions. It is possible to stop at the end of week 14 in this class, but the highest grade you can have is a C. So even if you have an A or a B at the end of week 14, if you don't want to do anything else, then you will be given a C. That's it, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, let's say you have a C right now. You have to maintain your C. That's the other thing. If you want to if you want to stop the semester at week 14, your grade needs to be at least a C, at least a 70, okay? So let's say you have a 78 and you have 2 course bonus points. I am not going to then bump you to a B because you're ending the semester early. You're not doing about, 10 or 15% of the coursework. Therefore, the highest I'm going to give you is a C. But to get the C, you must have at least a 70 in the course without any course bonus points. And you must have completed all of week 13 and all of week 14. And you must have a grade of C in the course once those are graded. So I'm going to be focusing on getting stuff graded really quickly. Since I added an 8-week class, I've been about 2 weeks behind sometimes, and then I get caught up. But I'm going to the semester's winding down, and so I'm able to grade more efficiently, so I will be doing that. But that's going to be up to you. So let me know if you're interested in that, and then I'll be sure not to give you any zeros for week 15 and 16. If you've decided that you want to end with week 14 and just get a C, again, I want to iterate that even if you have a B or A, if you want this option, the highest grade you'll get is a C. I can't iterate that enough. If you're wanting to earn a B or an A, then you have to keep going on with the course. Why? Because the letter B is supposed to mean above average, so you're doing more than the minimum. A, of course, means outstanding. So, of course, you're going to do more than the minimum. You're going to kind of perform at a level that's even above those who are above average at the top. So you will have to go all the way through week 15 and week 16. And I think that's all I really have to say. So, let me know if this is something you're interested in. If you currently have a D, or maybe I think one or two of you have an F, you need to keep going and you need to start passing all of your tasks and making really good grades to try and pass the course. Feel free to text me with any questions during normal business hours. I do have to remind you guys how important it is to pay attention to those boundaries that I set. I had a student that recently just texted me Sunday morning, and I'm a human being, right? I'm just human. And so if you text me on my personal phone and I'm still asleep, I'm probably not going to be too nice in my response. So I was groggy. I was still sleeping. It was 9:30, but I'd gone out late. Once in a while, I do stay up late. And so I was not mean, but I was very direct and very direct with the student. The student knew I was not happy that she texted me 4 times. So it's a courtesy that I do give you my personal cell phone number to text me. So please respect those boundaries. During the weekdays, 9 to 5 or 6 is okay. Saturdays, often I'll respond from 10 to 4. I can't promise. And Sundays, sometimes between noon and 4, but Usually I reserve responses on Sundays only for urgent situations, like if I made a mistake with the setting or something like that. All right, so that's what I've got for you. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And that is all I have.